Weird science is the revolution.
Pooh versus Bambi, number 1. Crazy book. It is by Zenoscope. You do have variant covers with Cheesecake Deal, which is very odd for what we get in this. And it is a mini. It's 1 of 3. And it is story by Joe Bruscia and Dave Franchini, David Wool, and Noah Mitchell. Written by Noah Mitchell, artwork by Jordi Tarragona, colors by Juan Manuel Rodriguez, and letters by Taylor Esposito. And it's pretty good. It's shockingly better than I ever would have thought it would be. Obviously, you have the Pooh and the whole public domain deal, and we've seen horror movies, we've seen some nonsense with it. And this is kind of nonsense, but it's done in a way that it's actually, it feels like they're trying to do something, right? I thought this was just going to be, hey, everybody, Pooh versus Bambi.
Shameless crossover.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, that's as far as we got in the meeting. We figured that will fool people to buy this, at least the first issue. But even having it as 3, if you were going to do a nonsense thing, I could see a one-shot where you like really trying to trick people into it. It actually feels a lot like Duke. It feels like the Eder-John book Duke. And with that, you start out in a way. The cover's kind of, it's misleading a bit because it's more of a military kind of deal.
It's more Expendables-esque.
Yeah. And so what they're doing is they're showing kind of ahead things to make it look really cool. But I don't know. Pooh on the cover looks like homeless Pooh. Shirt that doesn't fit. Big gut and a gun. These double G's, gut and gun. Still looks pretty bad, but though I thought it was pretty good. And because this is starting up new and it's so wacky, I will read their little intro, which is kind of funny. In a war, there are no rules, but the forest has none. Abandoned by his country, abandoned by his country, and we're talking about Pooh. Betrayed by those he once called family and hunted by those who want nothing more than to keep him as a trophy. Pooh is on the mission, and no amount of honey will save his thirst. He wants revenge. You will get a couple. And again, it's very action movie popcorn deal. You know, let's get the honey, stuff like that. But then later we see that I believe Pooh might have been drunk on that honey and he's a wino. I mean, there's trouble there with that. But
he runs out and is like, oh,
things go bad for Pooh. But even then we start out, and here's the thing of it. This is a start where you could have just had Pooh there like, hey, everybody. And I thought it was just going to be battling against Bambi. They're going to be nonsense. No, we start with a military base kind of deal. And they do have to point out that they do have patches with bees on the patch as an insignia. It's kind of a cool play. But the big thing here is, okay, is there anything you see? And there's like a commander, and he's talking to a guy who has the night vision goggles, and he's looking and he sees one of their soldiers and like, oh my God, I see the guy. It's one of our guys. We got to go help him. And they run out to help this guy. This guy has a bomb strapped to his back. And then as that ends up blowing up, you get the coolest bunch of Expendables you ever saw, right?
Oh, yeah. It is so cool. You just see all of them. You see Bambi, you see Pooh, you see Tigger, you see Eeyore, you see Thumper, you see Owl with a katana.
Owl has the katana. He looks like he would be like, you know, Shredder. It's so cool. Like this whole idea of them coming in and they're bad butt. That's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just military guys, but it is pretty much an action movie.
They are so ripped.
It's Arnold Schwarzenegger times 20. It's every big action guy. And you end up where they come in and like, hey, is that our clue? And he's like, yep, I believe it sounds like the hive is open, boys. And
let's
they go
go
and they
get
attack.
us some honey.
Yeah, let's get us some honey. So you have all these things. Also, I will have to say, it's violent.
It is violent.
This is not just going to be like, oh, you know, we killed him, but we won't show that, or we're going to take him down. No killing, boys. No. At one point, I don't even know what Tigger's ripping out of one guy. It looks like his intestines, but he's like
his
ripping
intestines.
I thought at first he was ripping the intestines out of his mouth, but he isn't. He's ripping, like he has clawed in and gone. Guys are getting shot through the head. It's so
Pooh is throwing grenades.
Oh, yeah. And in that, you have Pooh with the grenades and basically just click and throws them over his head, like backwards to get him. Oh, it's so good. And then him and Bambi decide that they're going to go into the space and they're going to take over. And, you know, we'll go through this. And we find out that this is a mission to go take down some scientists that are supposed to be eco-terrorists. Now, just to point out, when you end up where Pooh is talking to Bambi and you get that they're good friends, Tigger is covered in blood. He's eating things, and there's a guy ripped in half right at his feet. Like, it is.
And they do the predator handshake too, Bambi and Pooh.
They do the predator. It's all there. This is something that if you don't mind having some goofy fun, it's goofy fun.
I hate this book so much.
Oh my God! But it's also setting up a bigger story. At this part, it's full out and it always is, just kind of popcorn, action-packed movie deal. But it is setting up things when you get the Predator handshake. I mean, that means friends for life. And we see that. Also, usually means somebody's in big trouble. But they go in and the cool play is Bambi is going to make his way through one way and Pooh's going to go the other. And you end up where Bambi has ripped apart everybody. When Pooh goes through, he's like, oh man, you beat me. And it's that whole play of a contest. Like, who's going to get more kills? They go in and there's Bambi with the scientist. He's already killed a bunch of others. And this one guy's there and Bambi has him against the wall in a choke, going to choke him out. And Pooh's like, no, this isn't the mission. This isn't what we're doing. We're not supposed to be doing this. Yeah, we're supposed to take them back here. And you end up where Bambi wants no parts of that. He ends up just completely just ripping them apart. But you go from there.
Yeah, so he kills the scientist, and immediately Pooh's like, well, what the heck are you doing? General Robin said we need to bring back the doctor alive. And Bambi's me like, he's been lying to us, Pooh. What do you remember about our childhood? And Pooh's me like, what's gone into you? Did that grenade explosion get to you? And he's like, Pooh, what do you remember about our childhood? And he's like, we didn't have a childhood. We were lab experiments. He's like, wrong. Look at this file. And we see that they were animals from like zoos across the world, and they were tested on as guinea pigs to be made into those things. And so Pooh can't believe it. Pooh's like, no, General Robin wouldn't have done that to us. I'm sure this is just some fake bullcrap from these evil scientists. Let's go vet this information. Let's go talk to Robin. And Bambi wants no part of it.
And it's Christopher Robin, so that is the Pooh connection as well. That again, if Bambi's going to have a connection, it wouldn't be fully with him. But that's the thing. If you go into this lab, why would they have duped him for you wouldn't expect that a bunch of scientists would say, let's get this duped information here in case we get killed. They find it, whatever. No, that is the info. I thought the one thing I thought was a misplay here is I thought that they were going to show that these scientists, and maybe they will eventually, but I don't think so, were there to help the animals who were abused, but they actually spell it out that they're actually there to have this DNA of them so that they can sell it to the highest bidder and make other animal hybrids like this. So they end up at this point where Pooh, though, he doesn't want to get involved. He has the book. It's funny. He grabs that. But you end up where Bambi's going to kill him. And they're lifelong friends, and he's going to kill his buddy because now he realizes what is going on and can't trust the military and Christopher Robin and things like that. And I was actually shocked in a way that it was weird for me to be shocked at anything in this book because it just started anyway. But Bambi goes running. He's like, we're lifelong friends, fine, but I'm getting out of here and I'm taking you down. But Pooh ends up shooting Bambi right through the head. I mean, just kills him, and he's dead. I mean, whatever happens, it looks like he might come back as a cyborg. They might experiment, whatever. But you end up having Pooh, and then Pooh's crying because he had to shoot his friend. And then a good play is as he's yelling, he is having this as a nightmare, remembering it in the present, where he's somewhere in the Appalachian wilderness and wakes up and you can see traps set up and things to go, but he's there and he's got honey all over himself. He's got liquor bottles. He has really hit bad times. He's there in the shirt that doesn't fit. He's got a gut. And he's upset and he's on the run and says through narration that he had to hide. They ended up when they were back going from that, they were in their plane, the jet going back to the base and realized, I think that, Bambi was right. That Pooh realized because they had sent people to kill them and they were going to take care of them. So they ended up jumping out of the plane. They commandeered the plane and jumped out and then separated. So the rest of the characters that we saw are probably hiding as well as Pooh. But he's there and he ends up seeing a deer. He then thinks of, brains and goo and things because that deer also is being hunted. And the funniest thing is a dad and his son are there. And all the son has to say is, this bear's wearing clothes. And I like where Pooh's like, the kid's an idiot. And they run. But in the meantime, they take a picture. It's on, the internet now.
Yeah, they upload it to social media. It gets like 300 views.
Yeah, it's getting views, and that's a classic in things like this. But he realizes a lot of times when that happens, they don't realize, oh, he took a picture, whatever, got a video. But in this, you end up where he realizes the jig is up.
Well, it's time for me to move again.
I like when he goes to move. And also, just to point out, who in this is bebopping along singing a Rush song. And then he also has a Rush mixtape that he has with a Walkman. So all you Rush fans can be assured that Winnie the Pooh loves your nonsense. But he ends up where he has all of his stuff, bullets, guns. He has
old reliable hooch.
He has the old reliable hooch. Yeah, he's a drunk. So he ends up where he's going to get out. Like right away,
he's immediately bugging out.
Yeah, and the problem is they're already on him. These cybernetic-looking
so
troops.
quick.
I mean, so quick. And they end up tripping one of his tripwires to actually hit a bell. It's like Ewok Village stuff going on here. But yeah, they start attacking, and they have a fight. This is where I thought it was a little padded.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big fight, and then you do end up with a girl and him being the woman's the last one there, of at least not knocked out, because Pooh at one point grabbed her and was swinging her around and knocking guys down and whatnot. But they have a standoff, each of them with guns pointed at each other. But then you end up at the end where also, to point out, this girl is Agent Piglet. I'm like, first off, I don't know if that's an insult, but still, it's throwing a lot of things in. And then at the last bit, it's like, stand down, son, and yelling at Piglet, Agent Piglet, we wanted him alive. And you end up, because she's pissed. She was going to seemingly kill him. And then he's like, General Robin? And then you get the classic silly old bear. But again, this is exactly like what happened with Duke.
Yeah.
When Colonel Hawk goes to him, it's like, listen, I'm here. We're going to do this. That's what it feels like. And I never thought, now, usually I'd be dissing it that way. Oh, my God, it just sounds like that. I'm not dissing it. The idea that a Pooh versus Bambi feels like a book that we almost gave a perfect score to. It's hilarious. And it's really well done. It's, for what it is, you wouldn't expect it to be this good. I'm telling you, it's not gonna win awards. It's not gonna wow you, but it's shockingly better than I ever thought it would. And it's just for a lot of fun. But what would you give it?
I think we'll go 7.2. I've had a lot of fun with this issue, and you know what? It's funner than anything I read at Marvel recently. So take that, Marvel.
Yeah, and in it, it's not like there's a difference between trying to be funny with just random one-liners and jokes, because it's hard to hit a lot of times, even if it is funny in person, but in comics, you're writing it down, all that's tough. This is just fun. It's overall fun. There's a couple lines that are funny, but it's just fun, and the concept. And by the end, I swear to God, until you see General Robin, Christopher Robin, you actually kind of forget it's Winnie the Pooh. It's like now it's just this action guy, Winnie the Pooh. You kind of get into that mode, so I thought it was really good. I'm going to give it a 7.5. I'm going to go a little higher than you. I'm telling you, I think it's really fun.
Weird science is the revolution.